Environment Minister has warned that koalas could be classified as endangered following the bushfire crisis. Joining me live now from Port Macquarie Koala Hospital is Sue Ashton. Thanks for your time this afternoon, Sue.
Hi.
I wanted to start with a little bit of an understanding of exactly what has taken place. How devastating is this news that koalas potentially could be listed as endangered, and how many koalas are estimated to have been killed during this bushfire season?
It's no surprise to us. We knew from early data crunching that we had lost hundreds of koalas, and we knew that through data we'd collected over a number of years. And then the fires went further. They went into Queensland, now Victoria, South Australia, and of course Kangaroo Island. And where before we thought there were hundreds that had been lost, now we believe that thousands of koalas have been lost.
And the region where you are on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, the Port Macquarie region, it is renowned as an important breeding ground for koalas. How is the local population faring?
The local population has suffered quite badly. We know in one particular area, the Lake Innes Nature Reserve, we lost about 350 koalas that were basically incinerated. And then the fires went west of Port Macquarie, it went south and then to the north as well, and all of those areas have been devastated. But we're going to start a wild koala breeding program, and we're hoping that will go some way into rebuilding this population that has been devastated.
Okay, that sounds like a somewhat of a good idea and a good step in the right direction. This morning it was announced that the federal government would give $50 million to an initial wildlife recovery fund. Is this enough, and will that money go towards those sorts of wild breeding programs that you are referring to?
Look, I work in wildlife care, so for me $50 million isn't enough. I think 50% of that is going to zoos and 50% to wildlife organisations. A lot of our wildlife organisations run on a shoestring. They're mainly volunteer organisations, and $25 million, it will certainly go some way to helping, but more would be good.
So is it correct that where you are, the Koala Hospital, where this press conference was held this morning, you're not actually getting any of that money?
That's correct. The press conference was held at the Koala Hospital, but there wasn't any distinct or definite contribution to us as an organisation, no.
Isn't that strange, or at the very least opportunistic, that they're using your grounds to host this press conference to say to the media exactly what they're doing, and they're not actually giving you guys any money?
Well, other people can make that judgment. They requested coming to the venue to have a look at it and to make an announcement, and we agreed to it.
Would you like to see some of that money go towards certain things at your Koala Hospital?
Most certainly, and I think we can apply for part of that funding under the $25 million. So with our wild koala breeding program, we look like we've raised enough money to be able to buy some parcels of land. Setting up something like that is very expensive. There's a lot of infrastructure, so we would certainly be applying to the government for some of those funds.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that, because I am intrigued as to what that money actually does. So that's something that I think is important to think about to try and get the population and the numbers back up by. You obviously have to purchase land for that to be done. But does the money actually help with any of the koalas that have been injured in this bushfire? Does it give us better access to medicine or technology that helps the recovery of the koalas?
You need to speak to the Minister and her office about that, how they're actually planning to distribute the funds. They said the funds are available now, and I'm hoping they start to send some of that money to our colleagues in Victoria who are suffering very badly, and of course the wonderful Kangaroo Island in South Australia where koalas have been devastated, and other wildlife as well.
Is it expensive, the recovery of these koalas? What sort of things are needed to get the koalas back to health?
Yeah, it costs us about $700,000 a year to run the hospital, and we've only got 4 paid staff and 150 volunteers. So you can imagine, there are a lot of expenses, and we rely on donations and bequests and adoptions to get that funding. So anything that the government can give can help this organisation and other organisations, because if our costs are that high, I imagine others are very similar.
What is the survival rate like with the koalas that you were seeing coming into your hospital that have been injured? Are you having much success nursing the koalas back to health?
Yeah, we are. So the koalas that have come in from the burns area, we're treating 45 at present. We've got 9 from Taree, we've got some from the Northern Rivers, we've got some from the Blue Mountains now in the Hawkesbury region. They've got different degrees of burning, and so obviously they're responding differently. The ones that were really badly burnt, we're having to nurse them a much longer and much harder. We brought some of the ones that were in home care have gone back into home care because we just didn't feel they were strong enough to be in this environment. So we'll just nurse them one-on-one for a little bit longer.
Well, thank you so much for all the hard work that you're doing. I'm sure a lot of Australians are very appreciative of it and our very important koala population. Thanks for your time this afternoon, Sue.
You're welcome.